One word is not enough. One word is not enough to fully and accurately describe yourself, and that's okay. That in itself is not a weakness. Language is probably one of the most powerful tools that we as humans have, arguably. And yet, not even that has the power to fully describe us in one word. So what is this called? When it comes to every single aspect of your identity, if you choose just one word, it would be unfair to every other aspect of your identity. This is called intersectionality. What is intersectionality? Intersectionality is how all of these aspects of our identity come together to form a unique person. Like snowflakes, no two people will be the same, and that is a beautiful thing. It is necessary to understand that there are multiple aspects to our identity, not just one. All of those come together to form unique people. As minority communities in the world, we tend to deal with negativity. We are victims of hate, racism, xenophobia, no matter where in the world you are. You may find that these communities, the problems that we face, all come from root causes such as white supremacy, internalized white supremacy, institutionalized racism as a result, institutionalized colonialist ideals in our education, in our minds, and blatant colonialist ideals which we are still seeing today. We may see that some of these communities that are minorities that deal with the same root causes have beef with each other, basically. They might not go well together, but they need to understand that they have the same root cause that causes the problems that they have. I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine from 7th grade. In 7th grade, she came out to me as gay, and it was incredibly hard for her. I tried to support her as best as I could, but it was still very hard for her. She still needed support from others. And so she went to the LGBTQ+ community in search of support. But given that she was also a Muslim as well, she was seen by the LGBTQ+ community as hateful and was therefore rejected. She then went to the Muslim community for support, searching for acceptance, love, guidance, and was rejected as well, being seen as a transgressor. And so she felt lonely and dejected, but she grew from it. She slowly began to open up to her family, little by little, with varying levels of acceptance, and they all started a journey together that got them here today. Later on, she was no longer her, but them, when she found out that they were non-binary. And adding gender identity into the mix made it all the harder. It caused mental health crises, but in the end, they made it through, and today they're thriving and slaying. Here's a visualization of intersectionality. You see all of these circles around this one person. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are colored differently, some are colored very similarly. These represent all the different aspects of this person. It can be their sexuality, race, gender, disability status, nationality, class, origin, so many different labels. Some of them are farther from their identity. They may not feel as close to it. Some of them are bigger, maybe more prominent when you see them at face value, but the parts of their identity that may be closer to them may not be as visible, but they still matter. They are still a part of that person. Each and every one of you has a map just like this that is 1,000,000 times more complicated, interconnected in different ways, that is never going to be the same as anybody else's. As a South Asian American, I believe that there are some topics that I can speak on better than others. Intersectionality relates to every single community in this world, and yet everyone has their own experiences, a perspective from which that they can share. I'm going to talk about South Asian versus Desi. I'm going to talk about linguistic colonialism and intersectionality as it relates to it, the South Asian diaspora. Before I continue, I am going to ask the audience to raise their hands if they identify with the label South Asian. Okay. I'm going to ask the audience to raise their hands again if they identify with the label Desi. In most cases, we may see that people don't raise their hands for both. This is proof that these labels aren't interchangeable. They may describe somebody a different way than they describe another. As you can see in this map, India and Pakistan are shaded in the darkest. This is a geographical map of what is known to be South Asia, including Afghanistan and Myanmar, because a small majority would describe themselves as South Asian from these countries, and yet because it is shaded the lightest, it shows that that label may not describe them the best. Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the Maldives may be a little bit lighter because some people, again, do not feel that that label describes them. As for the label Desi, it's important to recognize North Indian supremacy taking place in India right now. It has been taking place since after the partition. People that hail from North India may tend to have more Eurocentric features, lighter skin, and the idea that lighter skin and these Eurocentric features are more beautiful than what you may see in the northeast of India and Bangladesh and Nepal, where people tend to have features that may be recognized as East Asian by many people. In South India, where people may have much darker skin, different facial and bone structure. And so people, when they see the label Desi, feel as though it doesn't accurately define them because they put it together with what we see in the North Indian supremacist image. Linguistic colonialism and intersectionality. There are 23 official languages in India. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the linguistic diversity in the entirety of South Asia. There's a variety of scripts and writing systems. There's a variety of ways to speak, dialects. To accurately describe linguistic colonialism, we have to start with actual colonialism, where the British came to South Asia, conquered us by dividing us, which we still deal with today. As I mentioned before, North Indian supremacy is becoming more prominent in North India. And so, in both India and Pakistan, we're seeing linguistic colonialism, which is where members of a certain linguistic community attempt to force their language onto another group in the interest of dominating them. And so, when we see speakers of South Indian languages such as Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, and we see educational resources related to their languages being taken away from them, when we see society pressuring them not to speak their languages, but to speak Hindi, to speak English, we then see linguistic colonialism, which is a direct result of British colonialist ideals. In Pakistan, this is happening as well. In the state of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in the very north of Pakistan, there are speakers of a language called Pashto. They are an indigenous community to that area, and again, access to their resources related to their language are being taken away. And so it's incredibly important to realize that understanding and knowing what, at least if you don't know the language, what language is best related to you other than English as an American, such as myself, whose mother tongues are Hindi and Urdu. It's really important to realize and understand it so that that power cannot be taken away from you, because your linguistic identity is ultimately a part of your intersectional identity. As somebody who is very bad at their Hindi and Urdu, I have introduced a student government resolution called South Asian Heritage Inclusion, which can be abbreviated to or shortened to SAHI, which means right, correct, because this is the right thing to do, to have access to these languages that a majority, not a majority, but a very large amount of people on this campus speak. And I am proud to say that we are making so much progress with this resolution. Issues faced by members of the South Asian American diaspora include social issues such as racism, xenophobia, hate, language barriers, the forced need to assimilate, labels, stereotypes, absolutely atrocious representation in pop culture, erasure within the entire Asian American community as a whole, especially during Asian American Pacific Islander Month, especially in history books about Asian history in the US. Issues within the community, such as hate within the community as it can relate to your skin color, your religious identity, maintenance of your language and culture, feeling that you are not enough if you are not able to maintain that language and culture. Colorism and internalized colonialist ideals. I'm going to tell a story about my father, who dealt with colorism as he was getting older. He had a very good relationship with his uncle as a child, living in Oman as a member of the South Asian diaspora in the Middle East. Upon moving to the US, he was very excited to see his uncle again after so many years. At the age of 12 or 13, the first thing that his uncle said to him when he saw him was, "What happened to you? You've gotten so dark." And he didn't understand the gravity of that at the time, but he still remembers to this day the shock and hurt on his mother's face upon hearing it. Colorism is, quite frankly, a poison in the South Asian community, the South Asian American community, and generally communities of color as a whole. And it is because of that that we need to understand how much this can hurt people and how much we need to understand each other, to understand that we can't change things that we can't control. Misogyny and homophobia run rampant, as does stigma against personal issues such as mental health, self-awareness, and self-worth. You may have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which describes the level of our needs. In the very bottom, you'll see the need for shelter, food, water. As you go to the very top, you'll see self-actualization. Many people are not privileged to be at that level of the pyramid. Some people are still at the very bottom. To have the privilege to understand and engage in self-actualization should be used to understand the struggles of these communities, and understanding intersectional identities and its root causes that cause negativity against these communities is incredibly important and a good way to start your activism. Internalized hate, colorism, colonialism, misogyny, homophobia, all of these negative ideals that we say, "Oh, I'm not racist," and yet somewhere in your mind, something that someone once said to you, ingrained in you, whether it was from our education system or something that a politician said, something that even a parent said, may not have left you. Things that we need to actively unlearn. Those can affect our image of ourselves and others negatively. Identity itself is an incredibly hard thing to understand. It may be easier for some, harder for others. And then there's how to stay calm when someone asks the hideous question of, what are you? It makes me cry, actually, I cannot. Other forms of intersectionality, such as women, LGBTQ+, and gender minorities in South Asia. In Pakistan and India, there's a community called the Hijra community and the Khwaja Sira community. They're a transgender community who has been fighting for their rights for years in India and Pakistan, and they are treated quite negatively. And we need to understand people's struggles. Intersectional identities exist everywhere. Identity as a member of the Kashmiri Jammu community, casteism, these are both things that require entire talks of their own, honestly. I'll gladly talk your ear off about them later after this if you'd like, though. The Sindhi ethnic group is a prime example of intersectionality as a South Asian. They're an African community in South Asia, and it is two identities that you may never think to come together, and yet they do. Because again, every single label that you can think of can come together to form an identity for someone. The list continues on and on, including religious identity. The South Asian community includes Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Sikhs, Christians. It goes on. And yet, it is one of the biggest dividing factors of our community. It is incredibly important to embrace your intersectional identity so that you can find yourself, so that you can best understand yourself. Because when we understand ourselves, we can understand each other. And without understanding each other, we can't make this world a better place. So, don't limit yourself to just one word. Use the whole dictionary. Thank you.